Good morning, Kirk. This is Father Kirk. I'm Josh Hancher. I'm a member at St. George's Episcopal Church in Griffin. And with me today, I've got our rector and Father Kirk LaFond, and we're going to talk about an opportunity to serve as an acolyte, which is traditionally done by some of the younger members of our church. I was an acolyte growing up. I found it one of the more enjoyable experiences when I was a youth, and certainly have taken that as an adult, having had my children be acolytes and have taken on some training. We even, did a manual for them, which we can talk about at some point. But Kirk, I would like for you to just briefly, as you want, to talk about the role of acolytes in our worship.
Yeah. So I'm not an authority on or an expert on the history of acolytes, but at a certain point in the church, and let me, I guess, step back for a second, just say our worship in general is, it's very participatory. In other words, if you come to an Episcopal church service, you'll be saying prayers together and singing, and you might even be kneeling and standing. And so we encourage, and a big part of our service is participation. So serving as an acolyte is a way to participate, kind of an additional way. It's really helping to lead the service. And as I said, at some point, this kind of developed within the church. At one point in church history, it was even geared more towards people who were going to be potentially ordained and become clergy. But over time, it became something that laypersons can do. And it also became something that a lot of our youth participate in. So it was a way for our younger members to help lead the service and to be a really key part of it.
Our acolyte right now is the leader is the crucifer. So who leads us in? Tell us about the crucifer and what their role is in our worship on Sunday mornings.
Yeah. So a couple Sundays ago, in my sermon, I talked about the importance of entrances. And so when we gather on Sunday for worship, there's an entrance, a procession into the church. When we end the service, there's what we call a recessional, kind of leading us out of the church into the world, hopefully to kind of carry the message that we've heard about, and this whole idea of serving Christ in the world. So we're led out of the church, but with the exception, there's only one exception to when the cross is not at the very front of a procession, and that is we do occasionally use incense at the church. So that's the only time that someone else would be ahead of the cross. But basically, the cross always goes first. It's always leading a procession into the church, leading us out of the church. We carry it down into the aisle when we read the gospel as well. So crucifer is a very, very important position. And what I'll say is that we've been, I don't know, kind of bare bones, for lack of a better way to put it, in terms of our acolytes. I came to St. George's during COVID, so obviously there were no in-person services then. And then as we gradually open back up, we've kind of been building, since that. And to be perfectly honest, there weren't a great deal of youth here. Josh, I don't know, like when you were here as a youth, was there a fairly decent sized pool of
it was. It was not rarely more than once a month and that's when we had a crucifer, torch bearers and flag bearers. You would do something once a month and you'd have 5 or 6 acolytes, and we're down to like you said, we've got some new families and some new teenagers coming in and some new middle schoolers, and we're excited about it. That's kind of why we're doing this video. So we're looking to hopefully engage and ask those kids and families to be a part of this. So, but yeah, absolutely. It was kind of like, for me, it was kind of an exciting time. It was a treat for me to do it, because you didn't do it but a few times a year. But we're very excited to have less of a burden on the same kids and family, which has been like this for a while. You know, it's just our church is has always had young families, but not as many as maybe as we'd like to see. But that's changing. So this is what
Yeah.
this video is. That's why
Yeah.
we're here talking about it. So
yeah, and so and this isn't to discount the small group of acolytes that we've had over the past couple of years who've been very dedicated and devoted, been wonderful. But it's a really exciting time in the life of the church because we have more people coming to St. George's, and we have more young people. And you know, I'd love to see us get back to that time that you referred to, like, hey, this is like a really cool thing to do. You know, and that's part of what I want to help hopefully create with the acolytes. Like, you know, this is significant. You're important. You're significant. You can play a really key role in the worship life of the church. We want you to do that. And so, you know, crucifer is one position. The other one that we could go ahead and mention are torchbearers. We have not had a lot of occasions to have torchbearers, and you know, I would love to see the torchbearers come back. This is really, really also important kind of piece or component to serving as an acolyte. And you know, for those who may not be familiar with some of our kind of Episcopal language, basically a torchbearer, we're talking about candles that are carried into and out of the church, and they're placed by the altar. And they're also, when we read the gospel, in addition to the cross, we would have 2 torches or candles kind of illuminating, helping to illuminate the word, the gospel. So that's kind of another component that we're hoping to add. And I think we will be adding very soon.
Ages we're looking for probably is 8th and 9th grade for crucifer, and like you said, middle school for the torchbearers, and then you know, we'll have, you know, some opportunities to have some banners. I mean, there, like you said, if you're interested and your kids are interested in doing it, we'll find a role for them for sure. And you know, we're gonna have hands-on training for them, and you know, refresher or anything like that. So we're just excited that we'll have some youth that are interested, and we can spread the load a little bit amongst, you know, the kids that have been here. But it's really easy. And like I said, one of the things I always say is, like, it is very proper in the way we process and recess, and that's an important part. But no one notices the little hiccups, you know, the little miscues. There's always somebody that'll tell you to go get the cross or go ahead and process, you know, someone in the choir, as it's all timed out. So you'll have even people willing to give you cues and stuff like that until you've really got it down. And even my sons who have done it, 100 times probably, still need to be nudged every now and then on when to go get the cross and stuff. It's not casual, but it's not you know, military precision at all. And it's an active role, and it's an active part of the service that, you know, you know, that's my thing. It's just, it's important, but not critical, I guess, is how I would say.
But what I want to also emphasize with acolyte is you don't really age out of this. So, I mean, folks may have seen our services before and gone, wow, that person who was carrying the cross seemed older than high school. That's because, you know, yes, they happen, but so you don't age out of it. And so, you know, anyone who's watching, even an adult who might want to be involved in that way, I don't know. I want them to feel like they can, but
yeah, I think,
you know, we're trying to gear it towards, you know, we're building kind of a larger youth presence. And so we would absolutely love for more youth to start serving as acolytes.